Talk, follow me. Come on, yo. It takes a lot of imagination to face the clock. We're changing pathological exaggerations, not a fit place to rock. Tick, yeah, now soak that up, move to this. I'm about to spit an epic at you. Be prepared to Google shit. Be prepared to put a little thought where your excuses is. Be prepared to root for this. Underdog's vision, pause and step out of the groove for this. We could die awake while the dream betrays our brothers locked in their own prison. This evidence we understood.
Like I'm one of the people that really firmly believe I follow the artists. Like I buy all the artists that I grew up listening to. I if they're still releasing music, I listen to it. And the only person I stopped doing that for is KRS-One. Everybody else, everybody else. He's the only one I stopped buying albums, man. And I love KRS-One, but I stopped buying his albums, man. I think it was spiritual minded. I think he might have got me like one or two more times after that too. You know, but like after, I stopped buying KRS-One albums a while ago, man.
Although that last one, Marley was alright.
No, that was cool. That's cool. I love Chris.
It was a bit of a comeback.
And I believe, you know what? I believe that he's still got a couple good records in him. I think the time's got to pass. I think that the environment in the industry is so unhospitable to artists that really do real hip hop. I think that it's actually affected the way that we make music because. You know, it's been a long period of time where there's not been any light at the end of the tunnel. And, you know, it was one thing in like 2001, 2002 when everybody's running on fumes of like, you know, late 90s or, you know, hip hop and like the raucous revival kind of era where they were kind of like tapping back into the old school spirit and stuff. But like after like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years pass and you don't see any hope for any real, true, you know, widespread, you know, understanding or acceptance of like hip hop culture to like come back out. It's like, it affects the way we make music, man. I mean, you know, because you start seeing the audience change. You don't know who the hell you're rapping for, or what music they like. And the one direction I've always tried to avoid, but the one direction, the trap that I see a lot of these artists that I follow get into is they try to sound like the current sound.
Yeah, like
and it just sounds terrible, man. And it's like, and you know how you want, like I know what I want a Common album to sound like, man. And it's just like I feel like I know that he should know what a Common album should sound like.
Yeah, like you don't want to hear Diamond D doing like auto-tune and
it makes you feel like you're staring to the abyss because it's like if Common doesn't know what time it is, it's like, man, you know, like for the Resurrection, if he doesn't know what time it is, and if like there's other artists, and I'm not trying to diss Common, I mean, I think he's a brilliant artist, man. I see potential in all these dudes. That's why I follow him, you know. And the only reason I feel the right to criticize him because I actually paid money for all those albums, you know what I mean? And I have some developed, you know, like, you know, specialized knowledge in hip hop, so. You know, after I paid the dough, you know, I feel like, you know, now I can share, you know, a little bit, and I'll keep supporting these dudes. You know what I mean? But I agree with you to an extent. Like, you know, you gotta reach back a little bit sometimes.
Well, I think what you're getting to now is you're really getting, probably for the first time in hip hop, or at least in a scale that matters, is where the audience is really dividing more. I mean, not between like you always had like East Coast rap and West Coast rap or Miami. But I think now you've really got like older heads and kids who don't. Like, I don't think, like, younger audiences who are fans of, you know, like, Kanye or, you know, Nick Aj, you know, like I don't even think they really even have an ear for kind of lyrics.
I mean, like I've got,
you know what I mean? Like, they hear the delivery kind of stuff.
Dude, I got hip-hop tattooed on my arm. I'm a public school teacher. That's the least important thing. That's the least point of connection I have between myself and the younger generation of people is hip-hop. You would think oh, this guy's really into youth culture, hip-hop, and all this stuff. The most obvious thing was he'll get along with the kids because of that. It's more because of modern warfare, black ops, than it is about hip hop because that they identify with. I mean, but the hip hop thing, that's like I'm like the dude, like the heavy metal guy that like in the '90s and the '80s who was still wearing like the Slayer shirt and had long hair way after it was in style and stuff. Yeah. Like that's what hip hop's becoming. Like, you know, we're becoming those old, out of touch rock and roll dudes. You know what I mean? You know, like that's still kind of repping the same thing 15 years after it's like reached its apex, man, and like, you know. And that's, I think, where it's going to keep going. I mean, I don't, you know, divisions, you know, making some change off of old records. I think that, you know, like Oblivion is pretty much where it's headed, man, because, you know, it's not like it's just phasing out like jazz, like when rock and roll took over, because nothing new is coming or has came, you know, or at least nothing on the horizon. What's happening is it's like the hip-hop thing is like, you know, it's become so retarded and it's, you know, it's become so disformed that now it's being replaced with something that's still being labeled hip-hop. And unfortunately, you know, as a result, you know, hip hop is getting buried underneath what people think is hip hop. You know what I mean? And so, you know, and enough time is passing now where, you know, it's gonna take you know a group of sprightly young people to really do some research and bring it back out. It's not going to be older heads, I don't think, man. If the youth ever get hip to it and they want to go dig up like the Black Moon records and all that stuff from the early 90s or late 80s records, if the youth discovers it, you know, and actually starts to bring it back out, I think that there's a chance of that happening. I remember when I was a kid, like, and I graduated high school in 95, so I was like, really surprised, like a lot of the white dudes at the school, you know, if they weren't into hip-hop, you know, most of them weren't at that time, but if they weren't into hip-hop, they were always like into like the Doors or like Pink Floyd or something that their parents grew up listening to.
Like, I think if you talk to kids now, like, you say, oh, okay, I think Cool G Rap is one of the best MCs of all time or something. Like, and they like, you know, like, I don't think they even could hear why. You know, I mean, they can if you really break it down and like line for line, but I don't think they really even have an ear for that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like,
no, and there's, you know, honestly, I think it's just a dead issue. I think that, you know, a lot of us have to just accept that whole thing, that whole wave has crashed. I mean, not only is it rolling down, but it's crashed. I mean, it's done. It's done. It's a wrap. And you know, I'm in the city every single day amongst, you know, almost 100% Black and Hispanic, you know, teenagers between the ages of 13 and 15. And man, I've learned more about white music from them than I ever learned before I became a teacher, man. These guys know everything that's on the radio. I mean, like, absolutely everything. They like this rock. They like rock, like, or pop rock. They're into it, man. I mean, that's their thing. I mean, they you know, the Hispanic kids, I mean, they like reggaeton and stuff, and they like some other types of music. You know, they tend to have more a very palette, but I'm telling you, man, you know, there's not really a lot of hip hop appreciation, and I don't think it's necessarily gonna, you know, show up unless, you know, I hope I'm wrong,
right?
But I think that it would have to, in order for there to be any kind of revival. I think it would have to be the youth that brought it back. You know, I mean,
But I think also at the same time, there's like an adult market that's more dividing itself and saying, okay, we're
nerds, man. We're nerds. We're nerds. We'll buy the records, but I mean, that's because we're nerds and we're really deeply into certain things and get, you know, draw a lot of happiness from this as adults. But you know, that's the exception, man. I mean, like, you know, a lot of, you know, my buddy who just left, you know, last time he probably paid for a record was Wu-Tang Forever.
Right,
you know what I mean? You know, so, you know, and especially with, like, come on, the you know, every year that I get just a couple more fans, a snowball rolling for my music, I sell a little bit less records because it's so easily downloadable on the internet, man. I mean, you know, we press up less and less every single year, you know, like the more press the last one got, the less we press up the next time. And it's you know, that's, the industry got hit hard, man, you know, by the MP3 file. No, it's music's free now. Music's free. I remember saving up for the Fat Boys Are Back. I remember saving up for it, and I was psyched. I had it in my head I was going to get it at the beginning of the school day, and I did everything I could to scrape together whatever money was possible to get that cassette. And I'm telling you, man, the kids don't even see it that's not even how they see music. Music's free. It's like air, you know, it's like the faucet, you know, that's the internet. It's free, you know, it's free. Download, it's there, you know, it's free. And it is. It absolutely is.